So this morning, I felt very called to talk a little bit about how our belief system gets set up in early childhood. Okay. And this is the reason why I'm so passionate about this topic, is because our belief system really influences every cell in the body. It influences our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors, our choices, and it shapes the circumstances of our lives. Okay. So whatever you believe, you have the evidence of that, which is why you believe it. And so the belief system reinforces the evidence, and the evidence reinforces the belief system, and it operates that way. And then it basically becomes solidified, and we call this our identity, right? And then we refer to this identity and the evidence that we've accumulated as our reality. Okay. And the reason I love talking about this is because I love to challenge these ideas. Your belief system, simply shifting your belief system, can change the way you feel, the way you think, the way you act, the decisions you make, and the circumstances of your life. I know it sounds like a lot to put on the belief system, but that's really the origin, the source of the reality that you're living. So if you're someone who wants to change your reality, you want to change your circumstances, or you're uncomfortable with some area of your life, or there's something that that you would love to change or improve, then we need to really look at our belief system first. Now, the challenge with examining our belief system is our ability to be self-aware, right? So, and be honest with ourselves about what our beliefs actually are. So, very few people really take the time to examine their beliefs honestly and really in depth, right? So there's the beliefs that you might be conscious of, which is, your conscious mind is 10% of everything that you're manifesting in your life. So there's beliefs that you have that you might be aware of, okay, if you've examined them before. And then there's beliefs you have that you're maybe not aware of. Your unconscious mind, being responsible for 90% of whatever it is that you're manifesting, is where we want to go. Okay, we really want to dive deep into our unconscious beliefs. And we do that by examining the way we feel in certain situations, in certain instances, by examining our triggers. Okay, so for example, take whatever area in your life that you want to improve upon. Perhaps you want to, let's take something very general. You want to improve your health. Okay. And so this is a very common desire that a lot of people have. We want to improve our health, we want to improve our well-being, perhaps a sleep or a physical issue, or something like that. And so take a moment to really examine your relationship to this area of your life and ask yourself, what is the struggle? Like, what am I struggling with? What do I believe about this area of my life? Do I believe that it's impossible for me to be healthy, or it's impossible for me to lose weight, or it's impossible for me to go to sleep, or it's something I struggle with? What you say to yourself about that situation or about the area that you're struggling with is what's creating your reality. Okay, so if you're watching live or you're watching the replay, take a moment to take a piece of paper and pen and really examine the area of your life that you want to improve upon, and start to look at what you believe about the situation. This is what you consciously believe. Okay. And then as you're examining what you consciously believe about the situation, I want you to really feel into your body. Okay. So we're going to take a few minutes together to just take a couple of deep diaphragmatic breaths. Okay. So if you already have this area of your life that you want to improve upon, you've already identified what it is. So just make a note of that. Sit still and quietly with me for a moment. Close your eyes and take a big belly breath. And how do you feel about this particular area of your life? Okay, what's the feeling? Is there stress? Is there tension? Is there frustration? Is there fear? Is there anger? And so you want to look at the feelings that come up, okay, because the feelings will point to the deeper unconscious belief. Okay, so you might have a conscious belief that this is something that's difficult for you, and then you have a deeper feeling about it. Okay, so the belief and the feeling work together, and these keep your reality in place, right? So it's not enough to just challenge your belief. We must also change the way we feel. Okay, and so these two things they sort of act in harmony with each other. Okay, to make your a new disposition or a new attitude, a new perception towards the thing that you're trying to change and improve. Okay, so look at your belief. For example, let's say you have a belief that um, it's, money is a struggle for you. Okay, so finances is an area that you might struggle with. Perhaps there's a belief in scarcity. Okay, that money is something that is difficult for you to make or hard to come by. Whatever the belief is, I want you to sit with that belief and feel into your body and feel the feelings that are there. It can be a feeling of sadness. It can be a feeling of frustration. It can be a feeling of fear, right? And so, and this is really important because as you're breathing diaphragmatically and you're feeling into your feelings about the situation, examine the belief and then breathe and feel the feelings. Those feelings, whatever they are, the root of the feeling is always fear. So keep in mind that the core root emotion behind every limiting belief is always fear. It can be the fear of being abandoned, the fear of being on your own, the fear of death, the fear of being sick, the fear of being homeless, the fear of being poor, whatever your fear is. Okay, so there is at the root of every single one of your limiting beliefs, the core emotion is always fear. And over top of that, we can have frustration, we can have anger, we can have sadness, we can have loneliness. These are all secondary emotions. Okay, and it's very important to examine your beliefs because your beliefs will dictate your inner dialogue, how you speak to yourself about the situation, how you speak to other people about the situation. And this is reinforcing your reality. Okay. And so what you say, the words you use build the house that you live in. Okay. And I cannot emphasize this enough. All right. So let's backtrack a little bit and let's talk about how these beliefs are created. Okay. In early childhood, between the ages of 0 to 6, 0 to 8, roughly, all human beings are in what's called theta wave brain state. And this can be likened to a state of hypnosis. Okay. And so that what that means is that there's no filter present, there's no identity or reasoning mind present to deny things that don't feel appropriate or don't feel good. Okay, so we're basically children and we're in our caregiver environment and we're absorbing the energy of what's being said, done, what happens in our caregiver environment. We're absorbing this energy and this energy is shaping our beliefs. Okay, so during the formative years, we're not challenging the beliefs that we inherit from our caregivers. We're just accepting them as truth. And whatever your value system was, whatever the value system your parents had, is what you inherited consciously and unconsciously. And so if there was a conversation about money, that money was, hard to come by, or that there wasn't enough to go around, or if there was a conversation around, for example, health and or addiction, or things that you see that are patterns in your family, are what you inherited. And these are shaping your beliefs about what's possible for you, about what you can and cannot have, about your relationship to yourself, your relationship to other people, your health, your love, your career options, all of the above. Okay, so basically everything that you've manifested in your life is a result of your belief system, which you inherited from your caregivers. Okay, which is why it's so important when we examine our beliefs, if you really want to get to the source of it, to do some inner child work and look at the relationship with mother, the relationship with father, and really examine, or whoever the caregivers were that raised you, and really examine what beliefs you inherited from your caregivers. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning, there's what you might be consciously aware of, and then there's what you're unconsciously not aware of, which is where we need to examine our feelings about the beliefs. And this will illuminate what limiting beliefs we have when it comes to our whatever situation that it is that we're trying to improve. Okay. I see that we have some comments and questions already, which is great. So I'll keep going a little bit about the belief system and then we'll open it up to some coaching. So again, so I look at my early childhood environment. What did I believe about money? What did I believe about my feelings? What did I believe about my abilities? What did I believe about my what I was capable of, or the kind of relationships that were modeled for me? So all of these areas will contribute to the beliefs that were established during this early childhood phase. And here's the thing. We never question our beliefs until we start to suffer in a particular area. Okay. And unfortunately, this is the human experience. So we sort of blindly go along with whatever values and beliefs we inherited from our caregiver environment until we notice that we're starting to struggle, or perhaps we develop some physical symptoms, or we encounter some destructive patterns, right, that we may have developed over time. And so it's not until something starts to hurt, or we bump into some kind of emotional bottom, or some physical struggle, that we actually take responsibility for challenging our beliefs and changing what they are, so that we can have some improvement in this area of our lives. Okay, so for example, if you are a person who, let's say you were raised without a parent, or you had a parent that left in early childhood, and you have an abandonment wound. And so this created a belief that perhaps, you're not worthy of love and attention, or that people don't stick around for you. Okay. And so this abandonment wound would solidify in your conscious mind and your unconscious experience, and it would create a sense of fear around love and attachment. It would eventually develop perhaps as an anxious attachment style, so that when you do come into relationship with other humans, that once you develop an emotional bond, it would activate this abandonment wound, and so it would activate this fear and this anxiety of being abandoned. You may be aware of this, you may not be aware of this. You might just be aware of the behavior or the neediness or the way that you cling to relationships, but the source of this behavior is the abandonment wound that has not been addressed. Okay, so we have to look at the belief. The belief is perhaps I'm not, love doesn't last, or people always leave, or I'm someone who's abandoned, whatever the belief is. And then we need to feel into our bodies to connect that belief with a feeling. What is the feeling that belief brings up for you? Does it bring up pain? Does it bring up fear? Does it bring up anxiety? All of the above. And so through some deep diaphragmatic breathing, we must meet these emotions with compassion and non-judgment and love, and be able to reparent ourselves. And as we reparent ourselves, in essence, that's what we're doing when we meet our feelings with compassion and love. We're allowing ourselves to feel the full range of our emotions, and then stepping into a new belief system. Okay. It's impossible to change your beliefs unless you address the feelings that are associated with the beliefs you currently have. Okay. We can't just change our belief system. Otherwise, it'd be so easy and everybody would just be doing that. Right. We have to be able to sit with our uncomfortable emotions, feel the feelings that we've been holding on to, that have been sort of trapped in our bodies, in our cellular memory, our whole lives since childhood. And as we feel through these feelings, then we're able to now open up the possibility of a new belief and a new emotion, a new felt experience that's associated with this belief. And as we do this work, we start to see now the evidence of our beliefs. We start to see new circumstances manifesting themselves. Perhaps you're improving your relationship with your body, on your health, or your finances, or you're attracting new opportunities and new meaningful connections into your life. Okay, so as we look at hi, Healing in Progress. Thank you for being here. As we look at our inner work, as we look at our inner child work, we look at our beliefs, we look at the felt experience, we're actually able to examine our disposition, our way of operating, and we can take an honest look at how we are creating the circumstances of our lives. Okay. And this is self-responsibility 101. It's so empowering to be able to really look at the way we think and the way we feel about our circumstances, so that we can create new improvements or new circumstances in our lives, whatever it is that we want to change and shift. Okay, so you are not a victim of your circumstances. You can literally step into personal responsibility in any area of your life. If you don't like the way something is going, or if you don't like the way something feels, you can examine your beliefs and examine the feelings around these beliefs, and start to shift them through awareness, through deep diaphragmatic breath, so you can feel the full range of your emotions with compassion and non-judgment, and then establishing new beliefs and new feelings about that. And if you do this practice on a daily basis, you will start to see amazing things happen in your life. Okay. And I've seen this from my own experience. I used to have a belief that, that for example, in my relationships, that, love wasn't safe, right? I used to have this belief that it wasn't safe to love, or it wasn't safe to be fully myself or fully vulnerable in relationships, based on my childhood examples of relationships, and based on my early, my early childhood conditioning, and some of the experiences that I had growing up, because I had these beliefs in place. I had the belief that love wasn't safe. It wasn't safe to be fully vulnerable in love. And so therefore, I accumulated the evidence of this belief. I attracted relationships in my life that, showed me that it wasn't safe, where I got to have that direct experience. And so I could have, and most people do this. Most people say, oh, well, I'm just not lucky in love, or I attract the wrong relationships, or I just, I don't know how to pick partners, that kind of thing. And the fact of the matter is none of that's true. What's true is that I had a certain belief in place about how love was, or how love was for me. And therefore, I attracted the perfect partners and the perfect situation and the perfect circumstances that reflected back to me the evidence of my belief, right? And so I got to be right about my beliefs, and I also wasn't getting my needs met. Okay, so it wasn't until I took a deep, long, hard look at myself and my relationship to love, and I noticed how I didn't feel safe loving myself. And so did the work to change my beliefs, and also change how I felt about love within my own self. And when I created that sense of safety within, I was then able to attract and be attracted to a different kind of partner, a different kind of person, where that allowed me to feel safe in love, that allowed me to express myself in love, because I had to develop that inner safety first. Okay. And so this is how it works when we do inner work. It's more than just changing what you think about something, or we're getting very clear on what you want to manifest, right? So all of this work is wonderful and amazing, but manifesting your desires is deeper than just wanting something different. It's really about examining your belief about the thing that you deeply desire, then examining your deeper feelings about what you desire. What feelings have been there your whole life, right? What feels normal to you? And what feels normal to you is based on your conditioning. It's based on your caregiver environment, based on whatever happened to you during those formative years, as I said in the beginning, between 0 to 6, 0 to 8, roughly. Okay. And so we want to be able to really examine these beliefs and examine our feelings about them, so that we can shift, and we can start to feel whole and complete within ourselves. And this is how we change our relationship to everything. Doesn't matter if it's a big goal or a small goal, if it's a little thing that you want to shift in your life, or something, that feels enormous to you. It really starts by examining your belief system and the origins of that belief, and the feelings that are trapped in your body as a result of those beliefs, whatever events that have contributed to those beliefs, and being able to move through the trapped emotions that are in your body through the diaphragmatic breathing, and then changing the belief, trying something on that feels accessible, that feels like I'm willing to believe that something different is possible for me. Okay. And this is very important for those of you that are doing affirmations in your daily process. It's very important to create affirmations that feel realistic. They feel accessible. It doesn't feel like a huge jump in consciousness. It feels like I'm willing to believe that this is possible for me. I'm willing to feel safe in my body, for example, or I'm willing to believe that love can be safe. It can be fulfilling, or I can be in a partnership that's reciprocal. Okay. Whatever your deepest desire is, if you begin with the willingness to believe something and just feel into whatever uncomfortable emotions that might bring up for you, doing the deep diaphragmatic breathing is going to help expand your nervous system to hold the reality of this new belief. And as you hold the reality of this new belief in your body, you start to change your physical reality. Okay. So you can change anything at any point, at any time. It just takes some willingness, some awareness, and a willingness to challenge your belief system. And of course, the courage to feel all of those feelings, which I'm happy to support you with. That's part of why we're doing these soul sessions, and the live coaching, is to support you in being able to fully receive the breakthrough that you deeply desire, so that you can have the life that you want.